This is Hannibal here from the HannibalTV.com, and today I have a very special guest, my first of 3 female wrestling personality interviews today. She is a Russian wrestling YouTuber slash blogger slash she does some announcing at events and commentates on life in general. Xenia, which I may not have pronounced properly. She has a really cool name, difficult for North Americans to pronounce. But how are you today? You're definitely very exquisitely beautiful looking today.
Well, thank you. I'm doing great. Thank you so much for inviting me. This is going to be really fun, and I hope to shed some light on the Russian wrestling scene for your subscribers, and I hope we all learn something new today.
I hope so too. I did not even know they had pro wrestling in Russia. I was only aware of the amateur wrestling there. So maybe to start this off, could you just tell us about what's going on in Russia as far as the wrestling scene there for indie companies?
Yeah, the wrestling scene in Russia is fairly new. The oldest in the first promotion is 20-ish years old, which is not a lot. But yeah, there are several promotions. The first one is obviously the biggest one. It's based in Moscow, where I come from, where I was born. And we have also promotion in St. Petersburg, which is also a city that most American people at least know of. We have some smaller ones. We have some annual independent shows. So it's really going great, even though it doesn't really have that much outside exposure just yet. But it's actually going great, especially recently in this past couple of years. There have been a lot of sold outs, huge shows in big new venues. So we're doing great over here.
Well, the fans already love you on here. Somebody says Russia has the best cities, women, and hidden talent.
That's very true.
Now, you're actually the first Russian woman I've ever talked to in my life, so it's pretty cool.
Really?
Yeah. The only man.
In Russia we have this well, not the tradition, but like something that we do. If you do something for the first time, you can make a wish. So okay. You're welcome.
Yeah, the only Russian man I've ever met is Oleg Prudis back in Deep South Wrestling. No, that's Vladimir Kozlov's real name.
Yeah, I know. He's not Russian. He's Ukrainian.
Oh, is he Ukrainian?
Yeah, okay. So I'm officially the first Russian person that you've met.
Yeah, there's not a lot of them here in Canada.
Mm.
So as far as the style of independent wrestling there, is it more serious or is it like the AEW style that we see here in the States where lots of high spots and comedy stuff?
I would say that it's a little more serious because just like the scene is very young here, the average wrestling fan is also fairly new because people don't really know on a bigger scale what wrestling is and what you can expect from it. And of course, with Russian culture, that's very masculine and patriarchal. People are more interested in stuff that looks, more brutal. Like they like hardcore wrestling very much. They like blood. They like hard hitting stuff. But there's also quite some really cool comedy stuff. And I always joke that right now in the Russian wrestling, it's pretty much the Attitude Era without the blatant sexism and homophobia. But yeah, pretty much people are trying to discover, and it's really cool that the spectator, the viewer, is pretty open-minded. So people even in the younger promotions get to experiment with a lot of things. So it is diverse, but yes, on the whole, I would say it's a little more serious that you see in America.
Has the lockdown affected it at all? Because it doesn't seem like the coronavirus is as bad in Russia.
Yeah, I mean, of course, it is a thing, pretty much. It's a thing all over the world. We're in a global pandemic. And the cases have also been, well, I don't think they're growing right now, but they have grown last month, most definitely. But the shows are running, and I'm not sure if it's my place to comment on how safe or how morally right it is. because in the end of the day, like I can't tell myself no when it comes to a good wrestling show, and I cannot stay home. But I did get tested precisely for that because I am a journalist and I come in contact with a lot of people, wrestlers. That's why I got tested, and I am thankfully negative, so I'm safe to interact with. But yeah, shows are enforcing, the use of hand sanitizer, social distancing, this kind of stuff. Of course, it doesn't really work when it comes to, in events where people come to very close physical contact naturally, right? But we're doing our best. It's just, the thing is, the industry is very young, and taking a big break, if they were to put it on hold for several more months, could potentially like kill the industry, and they can't really risk it. So it's about striking a balance between keeping it as safe as possible and doing shows, because that's what the industry lives on.
And I see again, you have different nails. Every video I've seen you, there's new nails. Now, Jay-Z is commenting on here that he's too intimidated to ask anything.
I don't bite.
And Chris Lee wants to know, as my dog is coming in to say hi, she likes to visit when there's females. She's also a female. Her name is Piper, after Roddy Piper. But there's a fan on here, Chris Lee, with a good question. What do Russians think of the Lana and Rusev gimmick, which is pretty controversial, with WWE having Lana basically make out with another man while she's married to Rusev?
Yeah, I don't think, well, I don't know if this person is asking about the whole cheating angle or about the gimmick that they had where they were like Russian, basically, where they had this tank entrance on WrestleMania. I don't know, regarding the cheating angle, it's just, another day in the office. It's just something that happens in wrestling, and I don't think it's that controversial in the end of the day. But regarding their Russian / Putin / hero of Russia gimmick, Russians basically just find it funny. Like, no one ever took it seriously here. And it was fun to see. It was fun to see what Americans think of us. I hope it's not like what they think of every Russian that they come across, but it was really funny. And except for this, there's one story that I like to tell when people ask me this question, because I'm sure you guys remember this moment where there was like a huge Russian flag hanging above the ring, and then got like torn down and like stomped over. And this piece of video actually made it to Russian mainstream news, which was crazy. And there people actually, didn't know what to make of it, didn't know what to think, because as I said, the mainstream viewer, the mainstream person in Russia doesn't really know what wrestling is whatsoever. So they didn't really know if it was for real, if it was serious, or how to react. So that was also really funny to witness.
Now, I know your boyfriend isn't actually a professional wrestler. I know you don't manage him because you're actually an announcer on the indie scene. But how would that angle work if you were managing? Do you think he would be comfortable if a promoter asked you to make out with another man as part of an angle, if you guys were doing something like that?
It's funny that you're asking me this, because the funny thing is, even though I don't manage him, even though I'm not in the ring in IWF Russia, because the thing is, by the way, just like any other Russian promotion, they're so big on kayfabe. Like, you don't even know, like in Russia, we're still the stage where you're not allowed to break kayfabe, like basically ever. That's why I can't really manage him, because then I would be very restricted in what I can and can't do on my channel. But the funny thing is, we have discussed this. And we both came to the conclusion that it's all about communication. Like, if you're given the storyline, we just need to sit down, discuss it, and then make our decision based on my feelings, his feelings, what it's going to bring to the table in terms of his career and my career. So it's just, just like any other thing in a healthy relationship, it's all about communication. So I think we would be able to, talk it out and make a decision that would not harm anyone.
And hopefully they wouldn't fire him after he did that like they did to Rusev.
Yeah, hopefully not.
There's a fan on here wondering, I know you're younger, so I don't know if you were really a fan. I'm positive you weren't even born when the Bolsheviks were in WWE, but he's asking your opinion on the Bolsheviks, if you've ever seen them on YouTube or anything.
Yeah, I have seen them, and yeah, I was born in 1995, so I wasn't around at that time. But yeah, I have heard about them, and I think I've read like an extract like from a book or something that Volkov wrote. And well, what do you think? It's not as fun and lighthearted as the Lana and Rusev stuff because it was earlier on, and at that point in time, the negative connotation of a Russian or Soviet person was way stronger, and it was taken way more seriously. So I hate to use strong words, but I pretty much view it as propaganda, which is exactly what it was. So I don't really have, like an opinion on it, I guess you could say, but I would not want to see it happen again, because the thing is, and the thing that most Americans don't really know or want to research, is that the Soviet Union, the times of the Soviet Union, it was a really hard, bloody, scary time for Russia. It wasn't all, fun and games and red flags. It was a really dark period in our history. So it doesn't really, it isn't really something to joke about or like incorporate in a wrestling gimmick for me personally.
Well, I think that will go into the next question. Do you agree when they portray Russians as heels? Because more often than not, it's always the Russian heels and the TV companies. You would be a good heel, though, I have to say.
Oh, thank you.
Because of your size and and like you really do put a lot of the ladies to shame here in North America. Just your natural beauty, you can come in and just be so arrogant. And I think a lot of people would just hate you, even though your real personality is very nice.
I do tend to, side with and root for heels most of the time. And actually, you asked about my boyfriend. Like we did like a short video to wish Happy New Year to IWF Russia fans. And I kind of took on his gimmick and I played a heel character. So that was really fun. So I don't really see anything offensive in being a heel in itself. However, if a person is made to be a heel because of their nationality, I think it goes without saying that it is kind of wrong. So I don't know, in the American culture, it's just so deeply ingrained that Russians are always the bad guys. And the thing is, it does work both ways, because for many Russians, especially for the older generation, the Americans are also always the bad guys. And I hate it. I don't like it. Of course, it's something that's completely untrue and that's like deeply rooted in harmful stereotypes, but it is what it is. And sometimes wrestling does have to play off certain stereotypes. Would I like it to, fade away and be a thing of the past? Yes. But do I think that it's gonna just, disappear tomorrow? No. And while it works, let it work.
And there's a fan on here, Catherine, asking your thoughts on Alex Kozlov, who had a big run in New Japan, tagging with Rocky Romero.
Actually, I don't think I'm aware of his existence.
I don't think I'm aware of his existence either.
Like I do try and keep up with New Japan, but I wouldn't say that it's something that I watch primarily. So I didn't really catch that. Sorry.
I saw that you posted something yesterday saying your current favorite wrestler is in New Japan or something like that. Is that true, or do I have you confused with someone else? I thought you
don't have me confused. No, the thing is, just the audio cut out while you were asking the question. Can you come again?
Oh, because you posted something on social media yesterday that your favorite wrestler was wrestling in G1 over in New Japan, but because you had a show on, you couldn't see the match. Who is that wrestler?
Well, I wouldn't say that he's my like absolute favorite wrestler, but in New Japan, he's definitely my favorite, and that would be Jay White. And he had a match against Takagi, which I had the chance to watch today, which was great. And can I spoil it? Like, do I need like to make a spoiler warning?
Very many New Japan fans on our channel. It's mostly old school wrestling fans and women's wrestling fans. So you can go ahead and spoil it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say that I'm really glad that he won, and I didn't expect him to win, but apparently he was the favorite, which again I did not know. But yeah, it was a really fun watch.
Apparently, that Alex Kozlov guy was New Japan Pro Wrestling Junior Tag Team Champions early 2010, so you may not have been following it back then.
I know.
Apparently, it was good high flying. Well, Jackalope Music tipped us $5 and asks if you know any Russians who are watching the Wednesday Night Wars. What did they think of AEW? And I know you were actually at All Out or All In, one of them.
Yeah.
So yes, Russians do watch it, but I'll let you answer that question.
Yeah, Russians do very much watch wrestling. Like, yeah, I think judging by online groups and like websites and like fan communities, there's roughly maybe 300,000 people who keep up very closely with international wrestling. So yeah, a lot of people watch NXT and AEW, but I think maybe just because AEW is new, I think that it has a lot of hype right now, so a lot of people are picking AEW over NXT, and I hate to admit, but I'm one of them. Like, I've more and more found myself preferring AEW to NXT, but I think that's, for me personally, mostly because of the roster, because there are so many wrestlers that I love and that I known and supported even before AEW on their roster right now. So yeah, for me, like, I'm kind of rooting for AEW, but people pick their sides differently.
Tony says he'd like to see you wrestle Rhea Ripley. And this is a good question, which I was going to ask anyways. Fernando Diaz says, how did you get exposed to pro wrestling and when did you become a fan? I know you had a couple toys before you even knew what wrestling was from one of the videos I saw.
Yeah, I actually made a video about Edge because under some weird circumstances, I have come in contact with Edge even before I started watching wrestling. Like, I had a toy of him, I played a game where he was featured. But yeah, I became a wrestling fan when I was about 11 years old. I'm now almost 25 this Sunday. And the circumstance was my mom had work in London, and we were at the hotel in London, and I just randomly caught WWE on TV, and I was hooked since then. I don't know what made me fall in love instantly, but maybe it was the bright colors, the music, the show, the crowds, but I really could not take my eyes off it. And I always say that WWE is the primary reason why I even learned English, because I was so desperate to know what was going on, because it was really confusing. So that's how I became a fan.
Well, you speak English excellently, actually. I've commented on that to some of my friends, and they've agreed. I think the fans in North America will love you when they discover you, because you're very talented, and your English, unlike a lot of Russians, is very easy to understand.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Joe would like to know if you played any sports in school. I don't know what the school sports scene is like over there in Russia, if it's like it is over here in the US and Canada.
Yeah, like in America, as far as I know, of course, sports in schools / colleges / universities are taken like very seriously. Like, it's a whole thing, college sports. In Russia, it's not like that. But the thing is, like, a lot of people, when they see me, because as our wonderful host the Cannibal, as already mentioned. I'm tall, like I'm a tall drink of water, and I'm like a big lady. So people ask me a lot, like, why don't you train to be a wrestler? But the thing is, I'm like the least sporty person that you know. I'm very unfit. I've never really done any sports. I play a little bit of golf sometimes, which I really, really love, which is also unexpected to some people. People get surprised when I say it. But yeah, I'm not a sports person whatsoever. I didn't really play any sports when I was younger.
You're just blessed that you have the perfect physique then, because you've got to watch your diet or something to keep the body you have. There's got to be some secret. It's not the vodka there in Russia, is it?
Yeah, no. I mean, I work out like casually, but I'm not like a sporty person. And the thing is, there's this one really fun thing coming up on my channel because I got so many questions about why I don't train to be a wrestler. So I decided to do a fun little video that will answer a lot of your questions. So you can subscribe to my channel and stay tuned for that if you are also wondering about that.
And you can tell people about your channel now. We'll say it again at the end, but just for anyone that wants to check it out. It's mostly English videos on there. There are some Russian videos, but let us know. Xenia did that, right? Is that right? So,
yeah. You got it. I believe in you. Yeah, my channel is youtube.com/Xenia did that with an X. And I do a lot of fun stuff on there. I do interviews, I do event blogs, I do think pieces, I do unboxings. I also collect wrestling figures, some other content that doesn't have to do with wrestling, that has to do with social issues or just my life, but mostly it's fun wrestling related stuff that you maybe would like to, you know, come back home after a long day and take like 7 minutes of your time to really laugh, have a good time, and watch something wrestling related.
Yeah, and one thing I like about it is your videos are all very positive, and a lot of wrestling is jaded, and it kind of is like annoying to listen to, but your videos are very relaxing and upbeat to listen to. So you have some stars that you've interviewed as well. You had actually, I was going to ask you about this because I know you're really into feminism,
into the community.
Yeah, you have an interview on there with Joey Ryan, who I guess treated you very well.
Yeah.
Obviously, he probably liked you with the way you look, but there's been a lot of speaking out allegations about him, 17 or so. What was your reaction when you heard that about Joey Ryan, and what are your thoughts on speaking out altogether?
Yeah, I was, you know, shocked when I learned that he was accused like so many times by so many people. And the thing is, those stories are very similar, so there's basically no reason to not believe. I don't really know whether I deeply in my heart like believe in it or like, you know, instantly despise him as a person. I don't know that. And after all, he's not like a close friend of me, he's just a person. But as a feminist, I felt like I needed to do, you know, the right thing. And the right thing is always, for me at least, to side with the victims. So I did what I did. I removed him from my channel trailer. I removed him from all of my like vignettes and my, you know, promo videos. And I'm not the one to decide like what to do next. I'm not the one to like crucify him. But my one job right now is to help the victims feel safer. So I removed him basically off pretty much anything that I have on my channel, except for the interview itself, which, you know, on my channel, there are interviews with very different people, and a lot of those people I don't agree with, and I maybe don't even personally like. But sometimes it's, you know, it's interesting to see the other side of some issues. So I decided that it wouldn't be, you know, the right thing to take the whole interview down, but I did remove him from everything promotional that I had about my channel and off my channel. And yeah, you can hear that I'm like rambling because it is a very sensitive topic. And all of these stories that I've read, most of them I relate to, and I know what these people feel like, because 1 in every 5 women has been sexually assaulted in her life. And it's still really hard to talk about because it is something that moves me very deeply. So I'm just trying to be on the right side of history as much as I can.
It seems to me, judging by your pictures and the type of family you come from, you've had a pretty good upbringing, pretty top-notch upbringing. But have you had any experiences that led you to be so passionate about some of those subjects that you were just mentioning?
I don't know. I don't think it's, I don't think this is the question to ask regarding feminism, because I don't want it to look like you must suffer trauma or like you must go through like a very hard time in your life to become a feminist. Because in the end of the day, feminists are not some miserable, offended, hurt. So many of us are, fun and like very lighthearted and like outgoing, extroverted people. And there's a lot of us who had great lives and who have never been, assaulted or like discriminated against in traditional words. But the thing is, I don't want to take myself out of the system and dissect my personal experience in that. But as I said, you can ask any woman that you know, and I will guarantee you 100% that she has experienced some sort of a sexual harassment from a man in her life, and I'm no exception. So, but that wasn't the reason that I became a feminist, and that wasn't something that drove me towards it. What did, on the other hand, was education. The more you read, the more you look people, the more you watch educational documentaries, the more you start seeing stuff that you did not see before that, and the more your eyes open towards some things, some injustices. And that's how you become a feminist or an activist, and not through some trauma or as a defense mechanism.
Now, you'll find this funny. A lot of people are commenting on here that they think your apartment is a green screen. Can you clear up that?
It's not. What can I do? I can touch something there. Actually.
Is that your personal apartment? It looks very nice.
Yeah, like I actually live at home, as you Americans say. But the thing is, with my family, the situation was the other way around. It wasn't me who moved out, and this.
Oh, you froze up a bit.
Yeah,
Can you
yeah,
hear me?
Yeah, I can
we
hear you now.
we only caught that your family moved out of the home or something.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like usually it goes like the child grows up and moves out, but in my case it was that my parents wanted to move, so I just kind of stayed here.
So that's their painting in the background.
Yeah, it's actually, my mom is an artist, and you can check out her Instagram, which is ek art gallery. Wait, let me ekart.gallery on Instagram. She's an artist. She does abstract paintings with acrylic, mixed media, and this is painting that, and it's actually a portrait of my dad.
Oh, cool.
So there's the whole family.
Actually, I see it now because I saw you have a picture on Instagram of your parents where your mom has this really cool necklace on, and that does look like your father. Tony says that you look like you could probably beat up Rusev. I would put my money on you too.
I don't think so. I think he would destroy.
And Jay is asking, what would your finisher be if you were in wrestling? The Russian sickle clothesline? That was Nikita Koloff's finisher.
I don't know what my finisher could be. As I said, I'm not a wrestler, nor do I aspire to be. So my finisher, always and forever, is the spoken word. The worst weapon of them all.
That reminds me, I don't know if you've ever seen Nikita Koloff. He was from Minnesota, and he was doing a Russian wrestler impersonation gimmick that was really popular in like the late 80s, early 90s, before you were born. Have you seen any of his stuff? And if you have, as a real Russian, like, no, you haven't seen it? I suggest you look it up.
Okay.
You should,
You can send me some
you should
links.
do a review on him. I'd like to see a review on Nikita Koloff.
Okay.
By a real Russian, because he spoke supposedly in a Russian accent the entire time. Because they keep kayfabe for like 4 or 5 years. He alleges that he did nothing but speak in that. So I'd be curious to know if his accent was actually good or not.
Yeah, Russian accents are a really fun topic to discuss always, because most fake Russian accents don't sound anything like a real Russian accent. Like, you can hear me right now, like I have an accent, I speak with a Russian accent. But if you were to impersonate a Russian accent, you would not talk like that, right? So that's funny.
Now, someone has seen you on Botch Mania. I know you did a video on this, but how did you end up on Botch Mania? It wasn't for a botch, though, was it?
Oh, I actually have like a whole video on my channel about how I ended up on Botchamania. You guys can watch it. But if I were to, give you a digest, I met Matthew at StarCast and had a really fun chat with him, because, again, when I say that I'm a wrestling creator from Russia who somehow ended up in America at an event, it always, strikes up a conversation. And then he decided to do the series where he would invite wrestling creators, wrestling personalities to read out abstracts from wrestling books. And he hit me up and invited me, which was really fun to do. And I was really happy that it happened, because to me, Botchamania is something so fundamental in the wrestling community. Because I remember that for me personally, it was the first piece of wrestling media that wasn't actual wrestling, that I started watching regularly. So for me, it was a really big moment.
My only problem with Botch Mania is they steal people's video clips without asking, because we have a wrestling company here called Great North Wrestling, and one day they took a match, put it up there, and they actually stretched out our logo and everything, and it's like, I would have said yes if you had just asked me, but instead they snuck
Maybe
it
it's not
up.
that they steal them. Maybe it's that like people send them clips without asking the promotion. I don't know how that could happen.
It could be, but as a creator, at least keep the logo in to give us some credit. But speaking of books, I don't know if you have it handy, but I saw your book review. Oh, you do not? Well, maybe you could tell us about this, and I suggest people watch your book review.
Yeah.
It's an interesting video, but there's a book that's like a parody book, and it says the authors of Pain wrote it, and at the end there's like quotes of Dave Meltzer saying that they gave it 6 stars and so forth. I mean, I'm curious how anyone got away with writing this book by the authors of Pain, which clearly isn't by the authors of Pain.
I'm sorry, I forgot that you told me to bring it, and I kind of, sorry. But yeah, it's like a book.
Come over there.
Poetry. It's really crazy that someone actually wrote it and took like so many copyrighted names and put into it, authors of Pain, like the names of the individual authors of Pain, Tully Blanchard, Dave Meltzer, even Neil Gaiman somehow made it into the reviews, and they're selling it like for real money. So I found it just randomly on Amazon, and I don't know if it's still up, but you can like go on Amazon and search it up, Pain by Authors of Pain. I don't know if it's still up. And it's really weird, and I'm also really, really curious, like, who did that? Like, who made it? I want to know. I want to see this person.
I would like to show the back of it to Dave Meltzer and see what he says about his 6-star quote. It is on Amazon. I actually looked it up after you did your review, and it just seems like a lawsuit waiting to happen, this book. But there is a poem in there about leg slapping or something that sounds like it could have been interesting. Oh, I think there might be can you hear me now? There might be a bit of a delay in the audio.
I can't hear.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. It seems like there was some type of audio delay.
Yeah.
There's a fan asking you, I'm not even that familiar with this story, but what do Russians think of Edward Snowden? And if he did, was honorable?
I'm not really, knowledgeable, the like public, is that the Americans' approach to whistleblowing is way different than Russian. And for Russians, it's more like if you work in a company, or if you work with a person, or if you like neighbors with a person, and said person or company does something bad, and you go to the police, it's like a bad thing to do, which I know sounds crazy, but the mentality is way different between Russia and America. So on the whole, Russians don't really like people who, you know, who see something bad happening and then report it. So I don't think that it was accepted that well.
Now, speaking of whistleblowing and that type of thing, I know you have a great alien tattoo. I think it's really cool. In the U.S., the government here recently released 3 UFO videos to the public. And I know it's been in the news here in the last month or so that a Russian cosmonaut actually on the space station took a picture of some unidentified flying objects that are being reviewed right now by Russia's equivalent of NASA. But I'm just wondering, as far as UFO related stuff, which we cover on this channel, what's Russia's government position on it? Are they open about it, or do they keep that type of information quiet?
I don't think the Russian government has a position on UFOs. Like, again, it's very different because I know Americans are like very, again, big on this topic, and it's like official, like you guys actually bug the government about it. But in Russia, it's not really acknowledged by the government whatsoever. Well, I do believe in UFOs. Obviously, I do have an alien tattoo, but in Russia, it's not really featured on mainstream media, or let alone the news. Never. It's more something like, very niche, and something that only people who are into that research and like know about. And for example, like right now, you said that a Russian cosmonaut supposedly took a picture of a UFO. I had no idea. I did not know. So in Russia, the government doesn't really have a position on that. No.
That actually made here in Canada the national newspaper about the Russian cosmonaut doing that. It was like 3 weeks ago. So
I had no idea. I didn't know.
Yeah, the interesting part about it is he's actually a photographer expert. His whole reason for being on the space station is to take pictures of Earth. So for him to have captured something that he has no idea what they are is pretty interesting. It's either a line of 4 UFOs or one very large UFO that's like a straight line. So I'm curious to see what comes out of that.
Yeah, that's interesting. And actually, like, I spent quite some time in Spain when I was a kid, and I still spend quite some time there. And in Spain, in Mallorca, there's this town called Sawyer, and it's a town that's known for UFO sightings. So I've been there several times, and I actually have a picture with my dad when I was like 5, and we were in the park, and there's something very flame saw shaped in the background. So to me, it's all, very real. To me, it's not like the question of like, is it, aliens or not? I'm like, sure, that's aliens. And there's also this thing that I don't really, tell anyone, because I haven't really asked this before, because people usually ask me about wrestling or about feminism or about fashion, not about UFOs, but this is fun. Like, I like it. And I'm actually pretty confident that I saw, again, a flying saucer when I was maybe like 10. And like, I'm 100% sure that it was that, but I don't really tell anyone about that because I don't want to, sound crazy.
Well, people on this channel are interested, so maybe you could tell us a little more about that experience.
Okay. I feel awkward talking about it because it's sad in Russia that is way different. Like, I don't tell people that because they will think that I'm actually insane. But yeah, I was about 10 and we were like at the playground with my childhood friend, and our parents were at the restaurant. There's this like restaurant and then ground that's adjacent to it. So we were alone there and it was dark already. And then we heard like a strange sound. And I remember like looking up and see, I don't know if it was actually that, but I'm pretty sure it was that. I saw like the bottom of the flight. It was around like red lights all around it. And then it flew like above my head, maybe like 2 seconds, and that was it. But to this day, I am confident that it was aliens.
Very interesting. I don't suppose you could show us your alien tattoo, could you? I know it's not in a bad place or anything, but I don't know what.
I mean,
would you show
we can try.
You know what? The computer literally froze when you showed it. It only showed you standing up. The computer froze. Could you do that again?
Oh,
I'm sorry.
okay.
It literally didn't show it. For some reason, we're having streaming issues. It literally didn't show it again. And I'm not just doing this. Can you hear me? It literally didn't show it a second time. It just showed you standing up.
Oh my God.
Can you hear a delay? Can you hear me
third
speak?
charm. Shall we try the third time?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. But look on your screen this time to see if it's frozen or not, because for some reason it keeps freezing.
Yeah, it doesn't seem frozen to me. Can you hear me okay? Is the picture all right?
I can hear you now, yeah. Could you do it a third time as a charm? I'm sorry, it really didn't work. I'm not doing this as a joke.
Okay, let's
It worked. It worked this time. That's really cool. It worked, but it works so well. Now it's frozen. Now your screen is frozen at the alien. Okay, now it works. I love that tattoo, by the way. I almost want one like that now after seeing that. Now there's some more fan questions on here. This is a good one because here in the US, there used to be a lot of women wrestling fans, and now it's by far mostly middle-aged men. And Fernando is asking your thoughts on women being pro wrestling fans.
I think there are a lot of women in pro wrestling, and a lot of them are my friends. And even in Russia, where the scene is very young, there are a lot of girls who are so invested and who love wrestling very much. And actually, last summer there was this like open air show that IWF Russia did. It was like a sports fest. There were a lot of outside viewers, a lot of like passerbys. So there was this family. There was a dad, and he had 2 girls, maybe 11 years old, and they saw the match. They stopped and they couldn't stop staring, and they had like stars in their eyes. And to me, as a female wrestling fan, that's really, really heartwarming to see a new generation of wrestling fans growing up and coming to love wrestling. And I think the reason why it seems like there aren't many girls at shows is because a lot of women do not feel safe coming to shows alone or even with their female friends. It's not, I mean, I haven't had like an uncomfortable experience at a wrestling show yet, thank God, but a lot of women have. And it's that welcoming of an environment for a woman to come alone. So sometimes, like, I've seen even like my friends, like internet friends from America or from England, want to go to a show and not go because they couldn't find someone to go with because they're scared to come alone. So that's part of the reason why it doesn't look like there are a lot of female wrestling fans. But don't make mistakes. There are a lot of us. We're just hiding. And actually, we're creating content. Like, there's so many female wrestling content creators. There's Queen of the Ring. Alex has a YouTube channel. There's Queen of Wrestling, Samantha, who does interviews. There's Sarah Rochelle Bain, who does wrestling themed, basically pin-up and striptease, which is also really cool. There are women who design merch. There are women who design logos for wrestlers. There are women who do interviews. There are a lot of us if you only, know where to look and provide a safe environment for us.
There are some men who don't like women's wrestling, but I'm one of the growing number of men that actually far prefer women's wrestling over men's wrestling right now. And I heard you say in a video, and I agree with this, it'd be nice to see some promotions do like half the show women's matches, half the show men's. I don't know if there's just not enough women wrestlers yet, but hopefully we will see that in the future.
Your audio cut out again. You've heard me say in my chat.
Oh, sorry. There seems to be some connection issue, but I heard you say in a video you'd like to see eventually half women's matches, half men. Did you hear me say it that time? Oh.
Okay, you're back. I can see you again.
Okay. Yeah, there seems to be some sort of connection issue.
Yeah.
I was asking you about if you have cards, half women's matches, half men.
My wife is the same.
Oh boy, you can't hear me, can you?
Right now I can.
Oh, you can now. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, I heard you say in a video that you'd like to see wrestling cards, half women's matches, half men.
Yeah.
That's a good, interesting idea. Do you think that's ever going to happen?
I still didn't hear the question. They like to see the card have half women's matches, half men's. Right. That's right. I did say that.
The guy down there heard me say it. I'm for it.
Yeah. I see it.
Yeah, I'm for it. He's against it. What's your view on it?
I mean, my view on it is pretty obvious. Like, I firmly believe that until there are 50% women's matches, 50% men's matches, we can't talk, we can't even open our mouth about equality. Like, when people tell me, oh, there's equality in wrestling already, like, are you joking? When there's like 1 or 2 women's matches on the card that take up like 5 minutes of the show, that's 2 hours long, like that's ridiculous. And actually, like, that video that they made about it, and it has a very clickbaity title that goes like men's wrestling is sexist, which of course I do not believe, but it comes to some sort of a conclusion in the context of the video, and it's my most disliked video on my channel ever. And when you're a feminist or an activist, let alone, it's something that you should be prepared for, because of course there's a certain amount of vanity when it comes to creating a YouTube channel, when it comes to doing wrestling journalism. Of course, we all want to be liked. We want to hang out with cool people. We want to, we want people to watch our stuff. We want people to enjoy our stuff. But as a feminist, it's my job to sometimes try and deliver the unwanted truths. And I do not, of course, claim to be someone who knows everything and knows the right way to everything. I've said it in several videos that I'm just a person on the internet. I don't know the answers to everything. I can tell you how to live, extent. But that video, like, I stand by, and I don't regret a single thing that I said in that video. And if you do want to start disliking me, you should watch it. You can just search up Xenia did that, men's wrestling is sexist. And if anything, maybe you learn something, maybe something will stick with you, or you'll just get really mad and maybe leave a hate comment, which really helps the algorithm. So thanks.
That is true. But by the way, I love that side of your personality where you don't care at all about the haters. Because here it seems like a lot of wrestlers, even the heels these days, like can't take the haters. And it seems you almost relish in it. So that's one of the things I find interesting about you. Now,
you know what? If we start discussing, the topic, and if we go, really deep and like actually talk about it, the thing is, like, it's really hard to deal with haters. Like, it's a fact. We all try to appear so, cool and like we don't care. And it's of course fun to put on a brave face and like to be this persona that's like, I don't care, you can say anything you want about me. But the truth of the matter is, it is hard, especially when you just come into an industry and your channel starts to like kind of take off, and you get new viewers, you get people who don't know you, who aren't your friends, and I am right now, and I seem like I don't care, and I'm like, sure, go and say whatever you want and write whatever you want, because it doesn't bother me at the end of the day, which it doesn't. But the reason for that is because it took me a long time to actually learn to deal with it. And the reason why I'm saying it is because if there's a person out there who thinks that they're flawed or weak or unfit for the industry because they are annoyed by the haters, that's completely untrue. You just need time to develop your coping mechanism for it. For me, it's just really distancing myself and saying, hey, I'm living my truth. I'm saying things that I believe in. I'm doing stuff that I enjoy. And at the end of the day, it's all that matters. Maybe for you, it's something different. Maybe for you, it's like flipping off every single hater in the comments, which I try not to do. But it is hard. It's not that easy to just shrug it off. So it is a big part of the job, and it is a lot of work.
And there's one more thing I'll bring up. I saw a video of you that contained a hilarious picture of your meeting with CM Punk. Most people on this channel hate CM Punk. I know at one point you were a fan of his, but your experience meeting CM Punk was very negative, and it's in one of your videos. But I was wondering if you could briefly tell us that story. The picture is hilarious. I actually laughed very hard when I saw the picture.
Yeah, the experience was really negative, but I just like to point out that it was pretty much none of his fault. It was pretty much my fault. And I do like CM Punk to this day. Like, I hope it doesn't make your subscribers hate me, but I do respect him very much as a performer. But yeah, I was younger. I was maybe 16-ish years old. And I got to meet CM Punk, and I was a big fan. And I really want a nice picture. And when we were queuing with my dad, I kept going on about how I'm upset that it's going to be like a picture that will be like me standing a huge table across from him, and that wouldn't look really good. And my dad took it very seriously and took it on him to go before me and to try and talk CM Punk, out of all people, into standing up for a picture with me amidst this huge queue of maybe like 200 people, which was freaking crazy. I would never do it myself. But my dad, being a great dad that he is, decided to do it for me. So, of course, CM Punk said no, very politely, but very firmly, as far as I could tell, from them, like mimicking the conversation across the, the space that was between the line and the autograph table. So by the time that I actually came up to him, I didn't really know what to say. So I was just like, hi, and we took the picture. And the picture was so awkward. Like, you can tell that he's mad. And you can tell that I'm like scared because like, oh my God, I just annoyed one of my absolute favorite wrestlers to the max. So that was like one of the worst meet and greets that I've ever attended.
There's a few fans that have asked on here throughout this chat of ours what type of music you listen to, as far as your musical taste.
I listen to different kinds of music, and actually my taste in music have changed quite recently, maybe these past 2-ish years. I got really into American new school rap, and actually my absolute favorite artist of all time is Post Malone. I adore him. I flew to another country to see his show. I like Doja Cat, I like Nicki Minaj, I like, this kind of stuff. I also like Lil Peep a lot. I like Tyler Way. But before that, to very different things. One of my favorite bands were Motionless in White, Black Veil Brides, and I still enjoy their music, but it's just kind of, not as fresh to me anymore, I guess you could say. So it's really hard to characterize my taste in music in like one precise word. So it's just basically, it's more about the artists to me than the genre, because sometimes a certain artist comes into my life and I just lose myself to an album. I just listen to the album for like a month every single day, and it becomes my entire personality. So currently, I would say it is Doja Cat for me right now. But yeah, I would say Post Malone is my absolute all-time favorite, and I adore him beyond words. And all of you are now regretting that you asked me, because I can go on and on about him for so long. And I actually do have a vlog on my channel of me flying to another country to see his show.
I find it very funny that you listen to Nicki Minaj. I wouldn't have expected that. Oh man, we're having these connection issues again. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, you can hear me. There seems to be a delay. I'll only ask you one more question before we wrap this up for today. Hopefully we can do this again sometime, because I think the fans overall have enjoyed learning about you. But one thing I agree with you with is you've said wrestling is a performance art. WWE admits that their wrestlers are storytellers now. They follow script. They perform stunts. Do you think that they should be covered under like the actors union and have all the benefits of professional actors, since they are basically athletic performers?
Mm-hmm. I think the wrestlers actually need a union of their own, because as much as I think that it's basically performance art and like it's a TV show more than anything, I don't really think a wrestler really falls under the category of an actor, because there's no action job that would require you to travel basically every single day, to like perform every single day of the week to a live audience. So I think there are a lot of differences that make the job of an actor and the job of a professional wrestler very, very different. So I do think that wrestlers desperately need to unionize, because they are one of the most exploited workers in the entertainment industry. But I don't really think that they would fall under the category of actors.
And you have your master's degree, by the way, for everyone listening. She's obviously very intelligent. She's not just gorgeous. She has a brain. To close this up, I mean, you've got a wonderful Instagram page. You don't consider yourself a model, but I've interviewed a lot of models and I've looked at a lot of modeling shots, and I consider you a model. You might just be a model for yourself, but could you share some of your social media where people can look you up if they want to know more?
I didn't hear the ending of the phrase. Sorry.
Oh,
I'm
there's a delay. Like, where can people look you up if they want to go find you on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube?
Yeah. You guys can subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Xenia did that. And the same nickname, Xenia did that with an X. You can find me under on basically any social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, you name it. And I am a bit of an Instagram blogger. I do travel blogging, I do fashion, I do beauty. So if you're into any of that, you can follow me on Instagram to see not only wrestling, not only my wrestling side, which is mostly my YouTube channel, but also my life, what I live like, what I look like, what I like. And I would really appreciate that. And actually, I've recently released a clothing, which is a collab with a brand called Get Called This Line, and I'm wearing it right now. You guys can buy on getcallthisline.co.uk. And I actually have a giveaway going on my Instagram right now. I have a post where I'm wearing a gray shirt with a pink print, and you can read the rules and you can participate in the giveaway and win yourself. Also really cool if you ask me. So follow me for fun content, for a lot of traveling content, seeing the world, and for winning cool prizes every once in a while.
Yeah, I'm very jealous of your life. You do a lot of traveling, you go to a lot of beautiful pools, you have a lot of fine dining. You would have a good reality show, I think, one day.
Yeah, I just love life as a person, and all of my social media, including my channel, reflect that.
Well, I really appreciate that you spoke to us. I find you extremely interesting. You have very cool choice in sunglasses as well. I'll tell the fans that if they want to look at your Instagram pictures.
Thank you. Again.
I'll let you wrap it up. Whatever you want to say here to close up this interview.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, for inviting me. This was really fun, and I hope your viewers like me. We can do this again. This was a very pleasant experience. And yeah, I hope you guys check out my clothing line because it's something that happened very recently and it's very important to me. It's a huge step. So I would love to hear you guys' thoughts on it. And yeah, thank you so much for your time to listen to me.